Well, thank you very much, Premier. That was an amazing address. A lot of information that you shared with us. A lot of the questions on my list here have been answered, which is a good thing. But I just kind of want to have a brief conversation. We've never done it this format at the Legislative Luncheon. I thought it would be good just to have a conversation with you. And I think I'll start the conversation. You know, being Premier of a country is a massive responsibility. So kind of want to get a personal reflection from you. I mean, what really keeps you up at night? What are some of the things that really concern you, and also what you're most proud of in what you see in the Cayman Islands today?
Well, I suppose what keeps me up most these days is thinking about succession planning and who is going to follow me. Because I have 2 years and 3 months left in this role. So that's sort of my number one concern, because planning and proper succession planning is critical to the success of any organization, any entity, and government is no different.
And maybe what do you think one of your biggest achievements? You've been holding a Premier for a number of years now. What makes you most proud of the government that you represent?
Well, this is my second term as Premier, as everyone knows, coming up now on 6 years since I've been Premier. I think what I've been most proud of is that in the first term, we didn't win. We won a majority, but not an outright majority. And we put together a government which delivered quite well for Cayman over the course of those 4 years. In the last election, we wound up with only 7 progressive members of the 19 seats. And I've had to put together a coalition government. Being able to not just hold that coalition government together, but for it to be able to work in such a cooperative and progressive way, progressive with a small p, in a progressive way, has been, I think, well beyond my greatest expectations. When I realized that we actually did have a government together, I went home and spent that whole night awake saying, boy, what have you done? You will die of high blood pressure or a heart attack over the course of the next 4 years, trying to keep this disparate group of people moving forward in a coordinated and way and doing productive work. But it hasn't been like that at all. I have an incredible team of people. The caucus works so well together that it's been an amazing experience. I hope, as we say in Cayman, and I'll put my goat mouth on it now, but because we still have 2 years and 3 months to go. But it really, I think it is the teamwork that we have and the shared vision. And I don't mean that there's one person, even me, that comes in with a vision and everybody just shares it. I mean our ability to develop a shared vision for where we are trying to take the country, dealing with the vast array of challenges that we have. I think that is the thing I am most proud of.
And over the last few years, I think, the Caymanian people have always been ones that are very loyal to the United Kingdom, very supportive. You've just announced that we have another royal visit coming, which is an incredible achievement. But again, what we have is a situation where increasingly the United Kingdom has put forward issues and policies and discussions which are really irritating the Caymanian people. Now we're just recently with the Foreign Affairs Committee, they've just recently put some things forward. I mean, I know it's just circulating in our community now, but what is your reaction as Premier when you go and you shake hands with the UK officials and trying to forge a real lasting partnership when you see things like this coming across, which really could change the way of life for the Caymanian people?
I'm irritated too. But I think there needs to be, we have to put these things in perspective and in context. Those of us, which I believe is just about everybody, who watch television on a regular basis or listen to the news or read it online, will realize the level of dysfunction that is currently operating within the British electoral system, and particularly within Parliament. And they have their share of challenges as well. Just holding the government together in the UK is a massive challenge. So the Foreign Affairs Committee is not a government committee. It is a committee of the Parliament. Its views do not necessarily represent the views of the current UK government. They have no power to impose any decision on any territory. They make recommendations. What is really and most worrying for me is if the people behind that report were actually to seize power in the UK, I think you would have a run for independence across a number of the territories. Because it is a shameless and shameful attempt at introducing neocolonialism, seeking recommending that the UK government interfere and intervene in areas which have been long since, like immigration, like the laws around our electoral process, which have long since been devolved to the territories, is simply a way of trying to control what transpires in the territories. That is not the view of the current UK government. Of that I am certain. I am in regular contact with. But it's certainly the view of those who wrote that report. But I will say, and I think most people know how very conservative I am, the day the UK government seriously considers that persons who are not Caymanians can stand for office here is the day, if I'm still able and alive, I lead the charge for independence. Because that is akin to an attempt to take over the territory and to decide and to impose their will on the direction that the country should take. As I say, and I hasten to say again, that is the Foreign Affairs Committee's report is not reflective of the current government approach to any of these issues, not even the point with respect to beneficial ownership. As we know, as a result of our intervention and our negotiations, the UK has pushed the date for implementation of public registers back to 2023, by which they hope public registers of beneficial ownership would be a global standard. The Cayman position remains the same, which is when it's a global standard, we're there. Until then, we're going to resist it with every sinew.
Now, you announced the creation of a new ministry, and obviously investment, inward investment is one of the key platforms for that, and consolidating some of the different departments that reach out to bring in business to Cayman. Over the last 5 to 10 years, we've had other agencies come into Cayman from abroad and basically steal our business. They came in, and certain industry sectors really almost fled with them because they did such a good job enticing some of those industries away from us. And as you know, the labor issue, it's very difficult for some of our employers to get the labor they need to expand their business. You saw the State of Business survey saying that some of our members are now reaching out to other jurisdictions and growing jobs in other jurisdictions. So I guess my question is it your intention to really ramp up this investment agency or whatever after you do the study so that we become more aggressive in our approach to actually drive business to come here?
Yes, what we identified and the reason for the creation of the Ministry of International Trade, Investment, Aviation, and Maritime Affairs is an identification by us that our approach to this has been fragmented over the years. We've had many attempts at this and various agencies doing it, but we need a coordinated approach to it. And that really can only be done effectively, I believe, if there is one ministry and one minister sort of driving the process.